Wins a foot race up court. Bounce pass left side. X elevates and slams with the left hand.
Another basketball season is upon us. We're extremely excited about this year's Colorado version of the Buffaloes basketball team. So I really like this year's team. I think we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of athleticism. It's almost like coaching two teams at this point right now because we've got 4 starters returning and some veterans that have played a lot of games for us. But we also have 6 freshmen, 4 true freshmen. And those 6 freshmen haven't played a minute of college basketball. So I know early we're going to miss guys like Sabatino Chen, Jeremy Adams, and Shane Harris-Tunks. We brought in a lot of experience off the bench last year. And this year we're going to be playing a lot of guys who don't know what Division I basketball is all about. But they're going to find out quick. We're going to throw them in the fire. And we're going to need our veterans, our returning players, to play well, especially early, for us to be successful. So I love our team, and then I look at our non-conference schedule, and that's when I got bags under my eyes and I lose sleep at night. So I may have overscheduled. Time will tell. We'll find out. But I know our players are excited about certainly opening up with Baylor November 8th, and then all the other programs that we have, quality programs we have on our non-conference schedule, which I think in the long run will serve us well. But there's going to be some bumps along the road.
Interesting comments from head coach Tad Boyle ahead of the Buffaloes opener on Friday in Dallas versus the Baylor Bears. We now continue our CU basketball conversation. We bring in the contributing editor from CUBuffs.com, B.G. Brooks. And Butch, the anticipation for this season, when you consider what Tad Boyle has done in his first 3 years, 24 wins, 21, 3 postseason appearances, 2 in the NCAA, the anticipation for this season is almost palpable right now.
Well, it really is. High expectations. Tad likes to say that they don't look at outside expectations. They try to meet their own within the team. So I think if you follow that approach, which Tad does, obviously, then you got something good going.
This team is picked 3rd by the media in the preseason poll in the Pac-12. Are you buying that? Is this a top 2 or 3 team in the conference?
On paper, it looks like it. It's an awfully young team. I think that, Tad recognized that going in. He says he'll never use youth as an excuse. But I think a lot of people expect a lot from this team, and I think Tad expects a lot from his team also.
You know, when you talk about that youth, 5 sophomores, 5 freshmen, that's including the redshirts, of course. So 10 of their 15 or so players are going to be underclassmen. I think that speaks to the recruiting job that Tad Boyle and the staff have done here recently.
They've done a great recruiting job, and you look up and down the roster, they are a young team, but it's a very talented team. And I think he wants a lot out of these freshmen, these 4 true freshmen that he's got coming in, plus Wesley Gordon, the redshirt freshman.
I guess when you're going to talk about the Buffaloes, you do start with one of the upperclassmen. He's a junior now, Spencer Dinwiddie. A year ago, a scout told me they thought he was the best NBA prospect in the Pac-12. He had international play this year. We're expecting big things out of Spencer Dinwiddie.
Expecting big things on the court, expecting big things from a leadership standpoint, and I think Spencer realizes that. I think Askia Booker realizes what a leadership role he's got to step into also. But I think that's where, if you're going to talk about leadership on this Buffs team, you talk about their backcourt. And those 2 guys, I think, realize their responsibilities, and frankly, I'd be very surprised if they don't step up and fulfill them.
One area the Buffaloes do have to find somebody to fill the shoes of, and that is Andre Robertson. He, of course, leaves from the NBA, a first-round draft pick, now with Oklahoma City. How do you replace the guy that was one of the top 2 rebounders in America, though? I mean, we used to joke on our broadcast all the time. He walks across the court, he gets 5 rebounds. I mean, those are big shoes to fill.
Absolutely, and I think you hear a lot about, from Tad and from others, talking about filling that role by committee. I think he's going to look to everybody to step up and go to the boards. I know Wesley Gordon's name is mentioned in that role. Dustin Thomas, freshman, redshirt, or true freshman rather. You've got guys who can step up. X Johnson. So I don't think they're going to be hurting on the boards with in the rebounding department, but I do think that you're going to have 2 or 3 guys step up to fill one guy's role.
We're going to talk more about these freshmen here in just a moment. Let's go inside a guy who may pick up some of the slack with the rebounding. Josh Scott, of course, out of Monument, Colorado, had a very nice freshman campaign. He's gained a lot of weight. This looks to be a year maybe where his play elevates.
Scott really looks good. He's gained maybe 20 pounds or so. He's up to about 245, maybe a little above, and he looks the part now. He looks like a guy who can go inside, get rebounds, bang, do those things. And he was pushed around a bit last year, as you know. But I think this year it's going to be a different story for him.
We've heard some great things about Wesley Gordon. He redshirted a year ago. He came in the same time, of course, as Josh Scott. They were friends and rivals down in the Colorado Springs area. They've raved about his ability. What do you think we're going to see from him in 2013?
I think Wesley is tremendously athletic, and I think you'll see a guy who gives great weak side help. I think you'll see a guy who blocks a bunch of shots. I know he and Josh are very, very excited about playing together again. Josh told me in an interview last fall that he really wanted to play with Wesley last year. It didn't work out that they did, but he was so looking forward to this year. And, this year is now and here, so he's excited.
Xavier Johnson was a guy that really showed flashes in his freshman campaign out of Mater Dei High School in California. He's a guy that seems to he's got the feel of being an upper-level player. I wonder in year number 2 maybe if he plays with a bit more confidence as well.
Oh, I definitely think he does. I think last year was a get familiar, get acquainted season for him, which, like all freshmen, it is. But I think this year he's much more confident. He told me that yesterday. He said he was looking forward to this, and I think you're going to see that confidence from the get-go in him.
All right, let's talk about the freshman. It was a highly regarded recruiting class. Dustin Thomas, as we've seen so far in preseason practice and by what the coaches have said, might be the most ready to step in and play right away.
No doubt. Tad, when he critiques this freshman class or reviews them, Dustin is the most consistent freshman of the 4, the true freshman. And I think he comes in with a reputation as a shooter, but I think he's capable of doing so much more. He's going to be one of those guys that they look to for rebounds. I think he can take it inside. He's a big enough kid. He's 6'7", 220, so he's got the size to get inside.
How about the rest of this freshman class? Trayshawn Fletcher, George King, Jerron Hopkins, all athletic, all very long. How do you see those 3?
Well, I see those as developing. I see Jerron Hopkins as a very athletic guy. I see George King as a guy who needs to develop some more. Trayshawn Fletcher, I think, is a good shooter. They just all need to play. They need to get past that freshman stage where they're feeling their way along and really develop and starting to contribute right away.
The one thing I like about this team, and you can really see the imprint of Tad Boyle and his staff here in their 3 seasons at the helm now, a lot of length. All these freshmen kind of look similar, 6'7", 6'6", in that area. Very long arms. You go back and you look at Wesley Gordon and the type of guy that he is and the body type he brings in here. This is a team with a lot of length. And many times in the NCAA tournament, when you see teams with success, that's the way they look.
Tad wants a team that has that length, that's very athletic, that's able to press. I don't think you're going to see a lot of full court pressure right away from them. They're going to ease their way into that. But that's the kind of team he wants to build. He wants a team that can get up and down, can press you, from the get-go. And I think eventually he's going to have that with this bunch.
We haven't talked about Eli Stalzer. We haven't talked about Xavier Talton, other guys who were great role players a year ago. How will they contribute, do you think, in 2013 for the Buffaloes?
Well, I think both of those guys can contribute and will contribute. I think Xavier Talton, probably his shot has come along better than most anybody's going to realize until we see him during the course of the season. I think Eli has got a good three-point shot. I think he does some things really well, and Tad's not going to hesitate to get him in the ballgame.
Isn't it interesting as well? The Buffaloes will kick off the season on Friday in Dallas, American Airlines Arena, against a top 25 team, the Baylor Bears. Buffaloes, by the way, just outside the top 25, 27 and 29 in the receiving votes category. They do so against Baylor. The Buffs leave the Pac-12, the Big 12 rather, for the Pac-12, and Baylor's become somewhat of a common opponent in recent years for the Buffaloes.
Really has, and I think if you talk to a lot of people who follow the program closely, they'll tell you that there are a lot of reasons to want to beat Baylor, and you can probably name, several right off the top of your head, but it'll be a great match. It's a great way for Tad's team to start the season and get that early test they need. Now, we say that now, and Tad might say, well, let's ease into things a little bit more, but I think he does want that kind of challenge right away.
There's really not an opportunity to ease into things. You've got Baylor, you've got games coming up with Oklahoma State. Kansas, of course, is coming here to the Coors Event Center. Harvard, Georgia. Somebody did a pretty good job of putting together a pretty tough non-conference schedule for this team.
No doubt. Tad talked on Media Day about maybe he overscheduled, and I've joked with him and said, well, you've seen the results of not scheduling tough enough, several years ago. And he said, well, maybe I overdid it this time. But I think in time it's going to prove that this was good for them, that they jumped into it right away that they found out who they are right away. And in March, you hope it pays off.
Well, the Buffaloes will dive into the deep end of the pool to begin the season on Friday night down in Dallas at American Airlines Arena. It's the Buffaloes and number 25 Baylor. The game will be televised on Root Sports. That's an 8 o'clock game. We'll have it also on our radio broadcast on our flagship 850 KOA, beginning with Buffs warm-up at 7:05, the Stampede at 7:30, and then the tip-off at 8:05. And, of course, don't forget, on Sunday, the Buffaloes return home here to the Coors Event Center for their home opener against Tennessee Martin. For B.G. Brooks, I'm Mark Johnson. It's a season of looking forward to the Colorado Buffaloes as they open up season number 4 under head coach Tad Boyle. For more on the Buffaloes, be sure to check out BuffsTV at cubuffs.com.